Some people forget that ghosts are just people. Even though they are dead and no longer part of the living, they are still people with feelings and morals. Such as the ghost family who appeared in the episode The Fright Stuff from Season 4, Episode 3B, which came out around 1999. And they were the very first ghosts that appeared in the series. Let's learn more about them. Or at least, let's theorize about them. The nameless ghost family lives in Castle Manor, known to be empty for over 50 years, and it's known to be haunted, in case you didn't know that. There is no way of knowing the ghost family's names. Let's give each of them a name. The husband and wife are going to be named John and Jane, and the daughter will be named Mary. I have a specific reason why I am naming her Mary. Do you know what it is? If you do, or you just feel like guessing, leave your comment down below. But what is the nameless ghost family's last name? Is it possible to know that information? Let's find out. There is a small possibility that the ghost family's last name could be Castle, because usually manor names have the last name of the residents before the word manor. But since a manor can also be called a castle, then it's most likely not the ghost family's last name. I tried looking for their last name on the gravestones of the cemetery, in the special Arthur's Haunted Treehouse. But the only important-looking gravestone that could be theirs was very hard to read. It could be their gravestone, but I'm not 100% sure that it is. But I think I know what their last name might be, just from the name of the place that they live at, and what it might have been like. I'll explain. Castle Manor might not be just a giant fancy house like the Crosswire Estate Mansion home, because they were rich for some reason. But a manor can mean something else. In America, a manor is a huge house, and sometimes the person that lives there owns most of the town where the manor resides, and there are at least 2 tenants. Tenant meaning someone who rented a certain place, and the lease is another word for rent. To explain it briefly, a manor is similar to a real estate agency. That's my best description without confusing anyone, I hope. And Castle Manor might have been like that when it was active. And what real estate agency that currently resides in Elwood City? It was shown only twice in Thanks a Lot, Binky, Season 8, Episode 2B, and Phony Fern, Season 11, Episode 4A. The Cara Bagley Real Estate, which means that the ghost family's last name could be Cara Bagley. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And the people who worked on the show didn't put a random name for the real estate. Or at least they got it from somewhere. And they got it from Bulent Cara Bagley, a one-time storyboard artist and a many-time character designer and character designer supervisor. Since he voiced Adil's father that one time in Dear Adil Season 8, Episode 1A, when Adil became Arthur's Turkish pen pal. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. What I'm trying to get at is that John Cara Bagley is Turkish. But why doesn't he have a Turkish accent? The only logical answer that I can come up with is that John was orphaned around 1912 or so, when he and his parents were separated, as many Turkish children immigrants were in America. I don't understand how and why that happened, but it happened. He was young enough to have his Turkish accent changed, but old enough to remember his family and his original last name, Cara Bagley. But he forgot or didn't know what it looked like before. He grew up in Elwood City with his adopted family. He got older, worked hard for years, created his own real estate business, and he built his huge house that he named Castle Manor. John met Jane, they fell in love, got married, and had a child, Mary. What else do we know about the Cara Bagleys? Well, from John's attire that he died in, He must have been someone important over 50 years ago in the 1940s, since he owned a real estate business and all. As we know, Jane is a knitter and loves punch. And Mary is a prankster. You heard that right. Young Mary Carabagley was a prankster, and also still a prankster in her afterlife. Proof of this, besides what Mary did during the two pranks mishap, was when she turned the lights off and on in the library, where Muffy and Francine were. And her ghostly boredom was probably what made Castle Manor to be rumored to be haunted. And she never did a single prank when she was alive. So, what did her father meant by saying, "Mary, what have I told you about playing pranks on people?" The full sentence isn't heard by John, but we know that's what he said, besides the name made up for her. Is he implying that his daughter Mary was only a prankster in her afterlife? Or was she also a prankster when she was alive? There isn't any solid proof that she was when she was once flesh and blood, but this is a theory after all. All I need is a few pieces of evidence. Like this boat in the attic with a few holes in it. It could easily mean nothing, but it could have resulted in the Carabagley family's death. Did they drown? No. If they did, this boat wouldn't be hung up there. It would have still be underwater or taken to the junkyard. But I think that they did almost drown in a boating accident, because almost drowning can damage the tissue in the lungs and result in pneumonia or acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS for short. Either one is deadly, and even though ARDS wasn't found until the 1960s, either one of them could have happened and it wasn't treated in time or the right treatment wasn't given. And it resulted in their death in their beloved home. But how did this boat accident happen? Do you remember when John said this? When pranks get out of hand, someone could get hurt. One of Mary's pranks got out of hand when she and her family were on a boat outing, and whatever she did it because she was bored, and she wanted to have fun. That mean-spirited thing that she did will always come back to haunt her. But at least her family forgave her. That's my ghost family of Castle Manor theory. I worked really hard on this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other theories about this topic, please politely tell me in the comments below. Have an R3 Halloween! And also be polite to ghosts. They are people too.